Hi, welcome to the Dynamic Duel podcast, where we review superhero films and debate the superiority between Marvel and DC by comparing their characters in crossover battle simulations. I'm Johnny DC.
And I'm his twin brother, Marvelous Joe.
In this episode, just spinning off from last episode of our review of Jessica Jones Season 2, we're going to do Huntress versus Jessica Jones.
Yeah, we settled on Huntress after going back and forth. We couldn't decide whether we wanted Jessica Jones to go up against Hawkgirl or Huntress, and in the end we chose Huntress because, you know, they have similar personalities, they have a similar look. They don't have similar powers, though, but we think they're comparable in their skills and abilities to make this a good match.
I really wasn't sold on this match until you showed me a picture of Jessica Jones dressed up like the Huntress, and I guess her name was Nitrous.
Yes, yeah, I'll be going into that when we talk about Jessica Jones's backstory. But yeah, for a while she was known as a superhero called the Nitrous, and she had a costume that was similar to Huntress. So yeah, it all works out. They're similar in some ways and dissimilar in others, but they're dissimilar in ways that I think will make this fight interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Usually I think a lot of our fights are going to end pretty close, but I could legit say I have no idea how this one is going to end. It's going to be a surprise either way.
Right.
So looking forward to that.
Yep.
But before we get into the main event, we have the news of the week. This week, no DC news.
It's all Marvel news, baby.
Which kind of sucks. There's really some like big DC news in Diane Nelson's sabbatical, but it's like kind of boring corporate news that may not actually be anything.
Yeah, DC's boring.
No,
we should just be a Marvel podcast with how much news there's always coming out with Marvel, you know? What do you think about that?
Never! We're going to be talking about the Deadpool 2 trailer that came out last week. We're going to be talking about some interesting casting news regarding Captain Marvel, which started production, I guess, today officially.
Yes, today being March 26th.
Right. And then we're going to talk about the Cloak and Dagger trailer number 1, apparently.
Yeah, I guess the first trailer that came out was more of a teaser, I guess. I don't know, but they're labeling this as trailer number 1, so we will get into that.
Yeah.
Guys, don't forget that, you know, we all love Marvel.
We don't.
They're great at making movies. They were great at making comics. Now they have gotten into podcasts, and their very first scripted podcast is called Wolverine: The Long Night, and it has really high production value. 4 episodes are out right now out of 10 episodes in the series, and it's just fantastic. The guy who played Thorne Oakenshield in the Hobbit movies, his name is Richard Armitage. He's the one that plays Wolverine/Logan, and his voice sounds so damn good. It's like Hugh Jackman's, but actually even deeper and more guttural, kind of. He sounds like a ferocious
It's a really
animal.
good performance.
Yeah, I really like it. I'm pretty sure if you guys are fans of Marvel and Wolverine, you guys will like the podcast too. So go ahead and check it out by visiting Stitcher.com/premium and entering promo code DUEL, DUEL, and you'll get 1 month free of Stitcher Premium. So you can go ahead and listen to Wolverine: The Long Night and just be amazed by it. And allegedly, it's supposed to be the start of Marvel's podcast universe. So if this does well, then we're going to see, you know, Spider-Man podcasts, Iron Man podcasts, and that's what we all want. So go ahead and support this one by going to Stitcher.com/premium and entering promo code DUEL for a free month. So definitely go ahead and check that out after you listen to this episode, of course.
Yeah. But for now, it's no prize time.
So a No Prize is an award that Marvel used to give out. It was on an envelope to fans. Our version is called the Dynamic Duel No Prize, and it's a digital award that we give out to people who we feel gave the best answer to our question of the week, which we ask every episode. And we post that on our social media accounts. So last week's question was, in your opinion, who was the strangest choice for a director, Marvel or DC, that actually ended up turning out well? And our favorite answer was actually the Russo brothers, given by Mike Cusick. Now, I don't think it was really his answer. It was kind of inadvertently his answer because he said it was the obvious choice. But
his official answer was Jon Favreau. But a lot of people went with that. I actually liked the Russo brothers as a better answer, just because for me, I think that was even more surprising than Jon Favreau.
Yeah, Jon Favreau, I guess a lot of people never saw Zathura, which is a movie that came out. It was after Elf. It was the one he did right before Iron Man, and it was a sequel to Jumanji. Actually, it was written by the same author, but it was, instead of like a game that transports you into a jungle, it was about a game that transports you into space.
Right.
And there were a lot of great special effects. The movie was pretty well made, even though it wasn't received well at the box office. Mm-hmm. But it was that movie that really kind of sold me on the idea of Jon Favreau being the director of Iron Man. So I knew he could do it at the time, so it wasn't much of a surprise.
Yeah.
But the Russo brothers, when I looked up their credentials, it was, Arrested Development, Community, and Yumi and Dupree.
Right.
Which I all saw and liked, except for Yumi and Dupree, which wasn't a great movie. But nothing in their filmography even came close to showing me that they can make a good Captain America film.
I saw the Community episodes that they directed, and they were but it's television. It's so completely different. Like, I still can't believe that they translated what they did on that show to like the Winter Soldier, which is one of the best superhero movies that's ever been made.
Who would have ever known that they'd be such amazing action directors, even better than Favreau. The way they handle action and story and character is just, it's phenomenal.
There's a reason they're doing Infinity War. There's a reason Marvel keeps throwing work at them. It's because they're really good.
Right.
They make billion-dollar movies.
Yeah. So,
Mike, that wasn't your official answer, but we're giving it to you anyway.
So take it and like it. Congrats again to Mike Cusick. We'll go ahead and ask another question of the week later on this episode, which if you answer, you'll be eligible to win next week's No Prize. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the news. All right, so we had the second Deadpool trailer come out. I guess it's the second Deadpool trailer. Yep. The rest of the trailers, they didn't feel like trailers. They were more like funny skits followed by a series of quick flashes from scenes from the movie.
Yeah.
Like the first trailer, teaser
the teaser was the Bob Ross
the Bob Ross thing, followed by a quick flash of scenes. And then the second trailer was the joke about the CGI thing, followed by a quick flash of scenes, and we never really got a feel for what the story was or what exactly was happening in this film. So this one feels like the first like true proper traditional trailer, and that we actually get a sense of what the story is or what's happening here. So this one starts off with, what's his name, Dupinder?
Yeah, Dupinder.
Yeah, the taxi driver, and I guess he's Deadpool's getaway driver. Ryan Reynolds' physical comedy, his acting in this scene when he's running, and he's like, start the car.
Start the fucking car.
It's phenomenal.
I did not know that the window was closed. So when he crashed over, I was like, oh!
Your reaction was probably the same as Dupinder's.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I think I shit my pants. He's like, no, that was me. Like, that might have been me. We get some scenes between Vanessa and Deadpool. There's a lot of rumors going on regarding the fate of this character.
Yeah. Apparently, the film tested really poorly. That was the initial news story, but then after that, it was like, no, it did. There was just like this one major thing that audiences didn't like. I have a feeling they killed off Vanessa.
Yeah, that's what my feeling is too. That's what a lot of people are saying, though we don't know if that's indeed the case. It does look like she's like the catalyst for the plot, though, because the plot seems to revolve around the protection of this mutant child that Cable is after. And midway through the trailer, we see Vanessa talking to Deadpool about this child.
Mm-hmm. Maybe she's related to him?
She might be related to him, but it seems like she's the one who gets Deadpool to protect the kid.
Yeah.
Where the kid is and how Deadpool ends up there, I have no idea. But it looks like they're like in some kind of mutant prison, and Deadpool ends up there as well. But before we get into that, going back to Dupinder and Deadpool in the taxi, he says, you have a devil may care attitude, and we see this really awesome scene where Deadpool chops this guy's head off. But, it
stays on.
It stays on because I guess his blade is so sharp.
Yeah.
And then he roundhouse kicks it off. He did a similar move in the first movie where he chopped a dude's head off and then roundhouse kicks it away. But the cinematography of all of these shots is just amazing.
The action looks really good.
I feel like right now it feels very futuristic, kind of like the type of cinematography is like something that we haven't seen a lot of, and I feel like a lot of movies are going to be shot this way in the future, but then immediately become dated. So it looks cool to us now, but I bet you in about 10 to 20 years we're going to be like, oh yeah, that was the era of cinema where like everything was like overlit and saturated in color and things like that. Huh. But right now I think it looks really super cool. David Leitch has a great eye. Leitch, whatever his name is. Dupinder says, you have strong thighs. Like that's an important thing. And we see Deadpool wearing high heels for some reason.
Yeah, that was weird. I didn't notice that until like a few times seeing the trailer. I was like, what?
Well, I think he's at a strip club. So I don't know if he like stole some stripper's shoes or something. Because there's a pole behind him when he's doing this flip on these high heels. It's hilarious though, whatever he's doing. And then he talks about his girlfriend, which leads us to the Vanessa scene. But after that, it looks like there's a pretty cool action scene between Cable and Deadpool. And we get the studio card that says, from the studio that brought you 27 dresses and the Devil Wears Prada. That was a fantastic
That was
gag.
great.
I think everybody I've ever shown the trailer to, they laugh out loud when they see that. We see that Deadpool is forming the X-Force team. Now, we know that initially in the cards, I don't know if this has changed ever since Marvel's acquisition of the Fox properties, but we know that X-Force was a movie in the works by Drew Goddard. It's going to be directed by Drew Goddard, starring Ryan Reynolds and Josh Brolin. So it looks like this is like the origin of that team in which Domino is a part of. And we also see other cool X-Force characters such as...
I don't know who any of them are.
The only one I recognize Shatterstar. Well, not recognize. I was told that was Shatterstar, but I knew who Shatterstar was. He's Longshot's and Dazzler's son and he was raised in Mojoverse. He's an okay character. I never really liked those like Liefeld characters whose power was like
just being lucky.
You know, like Domino, Longshot, things like that. But we have some other cool characters here. Like I didn't know Billy Skarsgård was in this movie. He's the guy who played It, the clown It.
Oh, what?
Yeah, he's in this movie and he's playing Zeitgeist, who I do recognize because he was in that really fucked up X-Force comic by Allred and it was like Peter Milligan or somebody like that. And it was like the first comic that Marvel released without the comics code because it showed like people just like getting ripped to shreds. It was like a Marvel Max comic before its time, X-Force. But he only was in that one comic. It was like X-Force 116. And his ability is he throws up toxic acid stuff. He always has to wear this like protective mask over his face.
Interesting.
Yeah. He's like a morally ambiguous character, which is exactly what Deadpool said he was looking for. And the last character that we see here on the X-Force team is Terry Crews as a character named Bedlam. I don't know too much about Bedlam, but apparently he can generate electrical fields to disrupt machinery and people's brains and stuff like that. Oh, I did skip over Surge, who is the Asian woman who I thought was Psylocke.
Oh, yeah, and she has like the electrical whip.
She has purple hair. Yeah, she always absorbs and generates electricity. She's like a conduit. She usually really releases it in like the form of gauntlets or this whip that she has. So that's what she has here. I'm not sure why they gave her purple hair though. It's just so damn confusing. They should have gave her blue hair like she has in the comics. So I'm excited about the start of this X-Force. It was a pretty good gag where he's like, we'll be known as X-Force. And he does, the Wakanda cross.
The Wonder Woman.
Whatever.
She started it.
It's like, isn't that a little derivative? Yes,
absolutely. It is. Did any of Domino's jokes land for you? I mean, she only had 2, really.
No. The other joke that she had was, God, I wish I finished college.
I didn't get that one.
It kind of reminded me of the line from Blind Al in the first movie where she's like, God, I miss cocaine. It kind of reminded me of that, but just not as funny.
Because I know, like, they were looking for Domino for a while, and they were looking for someone who really worked well with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
And I'm not seeing it yet.
Not yet.
She's not selling me as, like, an action star or as a comedian.
We started to do a little bit of action in this trailer, and it's serviceable. There's a really cool action shot later on where a bad guy driving an armored car shoots through the window to shoot at Deadpool and then shoots through Deadpool's hand. And Deadpool uses the hole in his hand to confiscate the gun that he's holding, turn it around, and then shoot the guy in the face with his own gun. It's pretty cool. Like, who else can do that?
Who pulled the trigger on that?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
He did it. He pulled it off. He did it with his other finger.
Okay.
You don't know. But there was a nice line right after that where Deadpool's like, and that's why Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants is pure pornography.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants?
That's his wife's movie.
Yeah, it's Blake Lively's movie. I saw it actually in theaters on a date, and I completely regret it. It's the worst movie ever made. It's just horrible. But going to the end of the trailer, there's a nice line with Ryan Reynolds and TJ Miller.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's like, they probably won't even make a third movie. He's like, yeah, why would you? Second one killed it. And I'm trying to guess if he's saying that the second one killed the franchise because it was so bad, or if the second one killed it, like nailed it.
I think you mean like
so
well.
You
nailed it on the second try. Like, why even do a third?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does it for the Deadpool trailer. It comes out in like just a little over a month.
No, you're thinking Avengers
I'm thinking
Infinity
Avengers.
War.
It comes out in a little over a month and 2 weeks. And so this might be the last trailer that we get. After this, we'll probably get a series of TV spots and clips that show entirely way too much of the plot.
Right.
So that brings us to the news that came out today regarding the Captain Marvel cast, was that we're getting a cast of characters that we've seen before in other movies.
Right.
Since the movie does take place in the 1990s. We're going to be seeing Djimon Hounsou, who played Korath in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
I forgot his
coming
name.
Back. Korath,
Okay.
yeah. Lee Pace is coming back. He played Ronan the Accuser, of course. And Clark Gregg is coming back.
Oh my gosh!
Maybe we'll get to see his first early missions with ShIELD as Agent Coulson. That's fantastic news because I've really been looking forward for Clark Gregg to rejoin the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's kind of unfortunate that it'll be in the past and we don't get to see him reveal to the rest of the Avengers that, hey, look, I survived this thing, because we're not even sure if they know that he's alive,
right?
That he survived,
right?
So that's great news. I don't know in what capacity they're going to be serving in the plot, but since we know that Captain Marvel has roots with the Kree race and Marvel and everything like that, it appears like she goes up into space and meets Ronan the Accuser, who is of the Kree Empire.
Right. Yeah, is Korath Kree?
Yeah, he is. Actually, he does have blue skin in the comics. I actually don't know if he's Kree in the movie because he has black skin. But in the comics he's blue and he is a Kree mercenary, but I'm not sure about in the movie. So yes and no, I'll say that.
It's kind of cool just, I think, being an actor for Marvel. It must be really great because it's almost like your never-ending meal ticket.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to do a flashback, movie. Cool. Sign me up. Sign them up.
I wonder how the rest of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. cast feel about this. I mean, it would be kind of cool if Ming-Na Wen, who plays Agent May in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., she's been with S.H.I.E.L.D. for a long time, just as long as Phil, so maybe she'll show up alongside him or something like that in this movie. I'm guessing S.H.I.E.L.D. plays a role in the story in some capacity.
If Clark Gregg is in it, if Nick Fury's in it, then probably.
Yeah. It's just super cool news. I want a plot synopsis now. The movie's happening and it starts production today, and I really want to see a trailer already.
I'm sure they'll have something for Comic-Con.
Oh yeah, I bet you they will. So yeah, that does it for the Captain Marvel news. Not too much to talk about, but it's fascinating news nonetheless, and it does bring us to our question of the week.
And our question of the week is, who had the best death in a Marvel or DC film? Going off of whatever criteria you determine, whether that be the saddest, most gruesome, most intricate, just let us know which character's death affected you the most and why.
Yeah, post your answer to our Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, and you can find us on those platforms by doing a search for Dynamic Duel Podcast, or you can email us your answer at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com. We'll go ahead and pick our favorite and draw that person up a Dynamic Duel No Prize that we post to social media. All right, the last bit of news that we have is another trailer. It's the Cloak and Dagger trailer #1. Personally, I still think that the teaser trailer, the first one that they released, was the best bit of marketing so far. The more marketing I see of this show, the less excited I am for it, because it
seems like a big departure.
It's turning into something that I don't really recognize, and it's almost like Cloak and Dagger in name only. That's what it feels like to me. Yeah. Now, we see that Dagger has her light knives, and we see that Cloak can teleport and generate darkness and everything like that. But they're never in costume, and maybe that's an important thing for me personally. Is I feel like they got to be in costume.
They have a solid shtick, Cloak and Dagger. They are exactly this. And this show is not that, It's almost like Gotham. It reminds me of that. It's before they're in their prime, but it's who wants to see that?
Yeah. That's a good point. I just want to see them in their costumes. They have such cool costumes. Right. She has the skin tight white outfit, and he has the cool flowing cape that puts all the other capes to shame.
Right.
The blanket that he has here looks more like a sheet, and he doesn't actually have the cloak all the time. We see him teleport with just a hoodie, and sometimes without any type of garment, like in his basketball uniform, something that doesn't cover his entire body,
Right.
So the trailer starts off a little bit weird. We have some lady giving voiceover, some sort of exposition that I don't understand, where she's like, New Orleans has always been through a cycle of life and destruction. And then the exposition lady is like, death, despair, famine, disease. And there were always two. I'm like, what does that mean?
Right.
I don't understand what she's saying right here.
I didn't get it either.
Whatever narration script they decided to go for with this trailer, or however they edited it, it feels incomplete.
Yeah, definitely edited, definitely cut up and chopped up.
Yeah. One of the aspects I do like of the show is that they kind of flipped the script on Tandy and Tyrone, and that in the comics, Tyrone was the one that came from the poor background, and he was the thief. and he was the one who had to live on the streets and things like that. And it was Tandy who came from a background of affluence and things like that. And they switched that up where it looks like Tyrone, he's going to the private school and he's the basketball star and he's the one who's struggling to try to live this perfect life. And Tandy is on the opposite side where she's struggling every day just to make it. And, she has to steal everything that she has. So it's not faithful. It's somewhat faithful, but they made it a little bit more interesting because it kind of goes against the stereotypes that we've seen so much. But it seems like when they touch each other in the television show, they create like a concussive blast that blasts them apart. So they can't really touch each other. And I thought maybe that was just a one-time occurrence, like the activation of their powers in the earlier marketing where we see them touch their hands and they get blasted apart.
Right.
But now it seems like that happens every time. So they can't touch each other, but it looks like they still have the same symbiotic relationship where they need to feed off of each other's powers in order to survive.
Right.
Where he needs to like absorb her light and she needs to expel that light in a constructive way. Otherwise, she we see a shot where she's in the car holding her light daggers and the camera's shaking and she's freaking out because she has too much of an abundance of this energy building up within her. Mm-hmm. There are some cool teleportation shots here. Kind of reminds me of Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler for sure from X2.
Yeah. There is a cool shot of Tandy wielding her knives. She throws a light dagger and it breaks this control box kind of.
Yeah.
It seems a lot more physical and harder than I would typically imagine these light daggers to be. Like their energy. Would they puncture a electrical control box? I don't know. It's just one of the things that I never really thought about. And it's
when you see it in physical form as opposed to illustrated form.
Yeah, when you see it, I would imagine it would hit and the energy would disperse and short circuit the electrical box.
And maybe the box would explode or get dented, but it wouldn't stick in the box.
Yeah, it's interesting. I really hope the show's good. They allude to the idea that maybe one of these characters dies.
Is going to die, yeah. And I think really that's just metaphor. I think Cloak, is this embodiment of darkness. Maybe he's the one who is quote unquote dead.
Yeah. My theory is that these characters don't get their powers the same way they do in the comic books, which is through an experimental drug. And I think that these characters are a little bit more elemental, a little bit more mystical in nature. They're the embodiments of light and dark. And maybe it's a generation type thing. And because that's what the narration seemed to imply. Mm-hmm. And that maybe none of the other previous generations learned how to perfectly balance that symbiotic relationship. So one of them would always end up exploding in the case of the light being or, collapsing into themselves in the case of the dark being. Mm-hmm. So it looks like these two are the first to learn how to do that and maybe neither of them dies. So
that's kind of cool.
That is pretty cool. Again, that's just speculation.
Not every superhero needs to be the result of some kind of experiment or something like that,
Yeah.
I kind of like that. If they take that approach. I probably won't like the show, but maybe I'll like that approach.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. It premieres June 7th, so in a little over a month. Yeah. A month and a few weeks. No, a couple months out. But we'll see if we get any more marketing, and if we do, we'll talk about it. But that does it for the news, and let's go ahead and talk about who to win in a fight between Huntress and Jessica Jones. It's going to be Jessica Jones, I already know.
You don't know shit! Okay, Huntress versus Jessica Jones. Two badass betches that we're putting against each other for this match. And they are really cool characters.
Yeah, both of them.
They're both straight. They're both have major attitude. I
think their attitudes are their best feature. It's what makes them kind of unique among the superhero world.
Yeah,
and both of their respective universes. There are badass characters, but I think Jessica Jones particularly blends badassness with humor the best, I think.
Huntress isn't that funny. Hers is, she's very, I don't know, it's like Batman meets Michael Corleone or something like that.
Okay.
I'll explain later on. I'm not sure who goes first. Who goes first?
I go first.
Okay. Before we get into your bio, what we do here is collect stats and we run spreadsheet simulations because math is the only way to do this, because otherwise it's just going to be a never-ending fanboy circle jerk debate.
Yeah, we put these debates to end by using science and mathematics.
No bias, no fan votes, no uncharacteristic feats of strength, just all stats.
Yeah, We take their stats and we plug them into a spreadsheet and run a system called the Monte Carlo method, which simulates 1,000 battles by placing their stats randomly along a bell curve. And then we add up those stats and see which one's higher and declare that person the winner. We do that 1,000 times.
Yeah. The Monte Carlo method is it's used a lot for like risk analysis, but it's also used for things like this when you
simulations.
Yeah, simulations when you want to weigh one thing against another.
Yes.
So it's the most accurate way to do this.
Mm-hmm. So before we run the simulations, we'd like to give a breakdown of each character's history and abilities. So like we said, I'll go first with Jessica Jones. So Jessica Jones was born Jessica Campbell, and she was born in Queens, New York, not far away from Peter Parker, who was about the same age. In fact, they attended the same high school, Midtown High, and shared several classes together. Her father worked at Stark Industries, where he and his family were awarded a vacation to Disney World. On their way driving there, Jessica and her brother Philip got into an argument, distracting their father, who collided into a military vehicle carrying radioactive materials. She was doused in the chemicals, and her brother, father, and mother were killed. She was the only survivor of the crash and ended up in a coma for several months, later awakened by the ambient cosmic radiation given off by Galactus when he fought the Fantastic Four. Jessica was adopted by a woman named Alyssa Jones and legally took her last name, becoming Jessica Jones. When Jessica returned to school, she started developing powers of strength and flight, choosing to keep them a secret. But it was when her class was interrupted by a fight between Spider-Man and Sandman that she realized that she could use her new abilities for good. Jessica became a low-level costume hero by the name of Duel and fought crime in the New York area, occasionally teaming up with other superheroes such as Luke Cage, Ant-Man, and Captain Marvel, who she became close friends with. One day, she came across a commotion outside a restaurant and flew inside to stop a fistfight. It turns out the men were under the mental control of Zebediah Kilgrave, aka the Purple Man, and were fighting for his amusement as he ate dinner. Intrigued by Jessica, the Purple Man took control of her and kept her as his mental prisoner for 8 months as he used her in his criminal activities to hurt people that got in his way. He sent Jessica to kill Daredevil, which led her to the Avengers Mansion, where the Vision and Iron Man saw her as a threat and later attacked her into a coma. Jessica was recognized by Captain Marvel and was pulled out of her coma with the help of Jean Grey, who also put mental blocks on her to avoid any future mind control from the likes of Purple Man.
Oh, this is like a who's who of the Marvel universe.
Yeah, kind
She's
of.
Like she interacts with everybody.
Well, she was like a retroactive creative character, so they made sure to like insert her into like
the history of Marvel.
The history of the Marvel universe to try to, give her credibility.
Like the Sentry.
Yeah, like the Sentry, a little bit.
Okay.
So she was angry and traumatized by what the Purple Man made her do under his control, and she abandoned the Jewel costume and became a vigilante, a violent one known as the Nitress, wearing a costume not too dissimilar from Huntress's. Though that persona only lasted about a week before she decided to give up the superhero lifestyle and instead become a detective, starting Alias Investigations.
Why did she decide to give it up?
She didn't want to do it anymore. At this time, she also started dating Luke Cage. Her first few assignments included preventing a plot to oust Captain America's secret identity and finding a mutant missing girl. She and Luke also served as Matt Murdock's bodyguards when his identity as Daredevil was revealed to the public. After an argument with Luke, Jessica distanced herself from him for a brief while as she started dating Scott Lang, aka Ant-Man, when Captain Marvel tried to set them up together. Around this time, the Purple Man escaped from the Raft prison and seemingly killed Scott Lang, though it turned out later that he just made Jessica see that. In an effort to get her to kill some superheroes, he made a public crowd beat each other to death and told her to attack any hero that showed up. At this point, a psychic vision from Jean Grey reminded her of her mental blocks that she placed in her mind, and Jessica was able to trigger them and therefore able to overcome the Purple Man's control, and she beat the shit out of him.
Nice.
Scott Lang arrived on the scene, and Jessica admitted to him at that time that she was 3 months pregnant and that the baby was Luke's. He walked away from the relationship, and Jessica and Luke started theirs anew.
Why is she getting into fights when she knows she's pregnant?
Well, she didn't ask for the Purple Man to show up.
That's true.
She moved in with Luke in Harlem and changed careers to be an investigative journalist working with Ben Urich for J. Jonah Jameson's new magazine called The Pulse.
No.
She nearly lost her baby fighting the Green Goblin after publishing a piece on Norman Osborn, but the baby ended up fine, and Luke Cage tracked Osborn down and laid a beatdown on him, leading to Osborn's arrest. She decided to be more careful about her crime-fighting actions at this point. When Jessica's water broke, Captain Marvel rushed her to the hospital, and Luke and she named the baby girl Danielle Cage. Jessica quit the magazine, and she and Luke got married. She and Danielle moved to Canada to stay safe during the Civil War event in which Luke became the leader of the New Avengers. She moved back to New York to support her husband, though they found it difficult to balance the superhero life with being parents, such as when Danielle was briefly captured by Skrulls during their Earth invasion.
Oh, jeez.
They ended up moving into the Avengers Tower, and Jessica took back up the identity of Jewel as she and Luke fought with the Avengers, while Danielle was looked after by their nanny, Squirrel Girl. When the Avengers Tower was destroyed, Jessica moved her husband and child to an apartment where she restarted Alias investigations and later formed the New Defenders team alongside Luke, Iron Fist, and Daredevil.
Let me guess, that was right in timing with the TV show.
No.
Yes.
It was. Powers-wise, her strength levels have never been explicitly stated. Her greatest feat was lifting and throwing a 2-ton car with ease, but since she was somewhat originally based on the character of Jessica Drew's Spider-Woman, who can lift 7 tons, I'm going to guess she's probably closer to the 5-ton range. She has limited durability in that she can be injured from things like knives and bullets, but the wounds are mostly superficial and she can fall from great heights and take hits from those stronger than her and survive.
And she heals faster.
She heals faster too, yeah.
Okay.
But like bullets could put her in the hospital.
Right.
She can fly, though not very well. She's kind of like Hancock, that Will Smith movie. If she gets going too fast, she crashes.
Yeah.
She's not a very skilled fighter. Usually she relied on her own street fighting methods when fighting hand to hand, but since joining the Avengers, she has received some training. And though not a factor in this fight, like I said earlier, she has a degree of telepathic resistance due to the mental blocks placed on her by Jean Grey. So that's her story.
She's kind of basic, but like in a not bad way, in kind of like an endearing way. In a way that kind of like makes you root for her, I guess.
Yeah, she's kind of like the every woman's hero.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like this bio doesn't really go into her main appeal as a character, which is her attitude, which I mentioned before. It's her sense of humor. You know, she curses a lot. It's funny. It's funny.
I remember seeing like this strip of her like flinging Dr. Octopus, and I have no idea what the context was, but she was just yelling at him like, "It's because you have no dick." And then like she throws him into like this like side of the bus. He's like not unconscious, and she comes up to him. She's like, "You asshole!"
Yeah. She beat the shit out of him when he was Superior Spider-Man too, because he threatened her child. Both she and Luke beat the shit out of Superior Spider-Man. So yeah, he's taken it from her a few times. Huh. But yeah, she's funny. Like I remember, like she was speaking with this lady who deceived her. So she picked up this brick and she's like, "This is a big brick," and the lady was like, "Yeah, it is." So she's like, "So how am I gonna shove this up your ass?" And the lady was like, and then ran away. So it's just that's what makes her so appealing.
Yeah,
I like her as a character, even though like powers wise, it's nothing too special. Just strength and flight. Yeah.
Well, Huntress doesn't have any powers, but she is very talented and very skilled. She was originally Helena Wayne, the daughter of Batman and Catwoman.
What?
In the alternate universe known as Earth 2. But after the Crisis of Infinite Earth storyline that cleaned up DC continuity, Helena Wayne was erased from the established single universe, and the mantle of the Huntress would later belong to a character named Helena Bertinelli.
Bertinelli. Okay.
Now, Helena Bertinelli was born a mafia princess to what was once Gotham's most powerful crime family, the Bertinellis. Her father, Frank Bertinelli, was the head of the family and was an abusive husband to Helena's mother, Maria. While Helena was a little girl, Maria began an affair with a gangster from a rival family named Santo Casamento. Together, Maria and Santo developed a plan to assassinate Frank and run off with Helena and her brother Pino. But Santo betrayed Maria and used their plan as a way to eliminate the Bertinelli family line. When Helena was 8, her entire family was gunned down in front of her.
Dang.
She survived by hiding under a table and was sent to Sicily for protection to live with her aunt and uncle. Over the years there, she was trained under the men of the family how to fight and use weapons, and she proved adept at using a crossbow. She suffered from nightmares initially, but was taught that they would end when she brought vengeance to her family's killers. Her mission of vengeance expanded when, at age 15, she was sent to Switzerland for boarding school and she realized what the Mafia was, and how it was responsible for the crime and corruption of her birth home. She grew a deep-seated hatred for all things related to the Mafia. She visited Gotham City years later one Christmas when things cooled down, and was inspired during a family gathering when Batman crashed the party and beat the shit out of everyone. She saw how capable Batman was at frightening and defeating her family, and she vowed to eventually return to Gotham and do the same. After she completed her studies at the University of Palermo and turned 21, she was granted access to her ridiculously large inheritance, and she made preparations to return home.
How large was the inheritance?
I don't know the exact number, but it was insanely large.
Like
it was,
billions?
I don't
Trillions?
No, it was like billions. Shut up. A devout Catholic, she fashioned an outfit and gear that were inspired by Batman, yet had traces of Christian symbolism, specifically a nun's habit in regards to her costume, since she felt wholly devoted to her crusade of hunting down organized crime in Gotham.
Oh, she's like Daredevil, like a devout Catholic superhero.
Yeah. She was devoted enough to kill, if necessary. In New 52 continuity, before returning to Gotham, Helena seemingly faked her death and became a secret agent for an international espionage agency known as Spiral. Once in Gotham, she proved herself to be more brutal and violent than your average Gotham hero, killing criminals on occasion. This, of course, brought her into odds with Batman. The two came to a head during No Man's Land, a time when Gotham City was a lawless wasteland following a massive earthquake. Huntress had been wearing a makeshift Batgirl costume on occasion to instill fear in the criminals that were further razing the city. But Batman put a stop to that, taking her Batgirl suit and giving it to Cassandra Cain. He let Helena know that she wasn't needed or welcome in Gotham. She continued to fight crime without Batman's blessing, though she eventually earned his respect after she was shot multiple times by the Joker while trying to stop him from killing a room full of babies. Batman helped her recover and nominated her for membership in the Justice League, hoping that being around other heroes would inspire her and quell her murderous rage. It didn't really help, however, and she was kicked out of the League after Batman caught her about to kill a villain named Prometheus.
Oh yeah.
After she was framed for several murders, Batman decided it was time to take her in. But Huntress was able to flee to Canada with the help of Victor Sage, also known as The Question. There, she trained under martial arts master Richard Dragon, and found a semblance of peace in meditation, though it was short-lived when she also realized that her father wasn't Frank Bertinelli, but Santo Casamento, the man her mom Maria had an affair with, and the man responsible for her family's murders.
Whoa.
She realized for the first time why she had really survived that night. Huntress killed the men responsible for her family's death, and set up Casamento to be killed by the Bertinellis from Sicily. Not too long after...
That's really cool. That would make like a great like superhero Godfather type-ish movie.
Exactly, like that. Yeah, that's totally like her going Godfather on everyone, just setting everyone up.
Yeah, that's Godfather Part 2 right there.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
Yeah. Not too long after, Huntress was reluctantly called upon Barbara Gordon, aka Batgirl, though at the time, the wheelchair-bound hacker known as Oracle, to rescue Black Canary. Oracle and Black Canary were a crime-fighting duo known as the Birds of Prey, and it became a trio when Huntress was asked to join their team. The three became good friends, and despite several team breakups, they tend to come back together as their respective talents complement each other really well. For the Huntress, those talents include mastery in several forms of martial arts, stealth, investigative skills, Olympic-level agility, and, to separate her from the others, most notably, expertise with several weapons, including expert marksmanship with a crossbow, and sweet bow staff skills. She could also be seen patrolling Gotham streets with her armored, souped-up motorcycle, and a utility belt with various gadgets, though lately in her newest costume it's more of a utility glove thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's Huntress.
So she has a bow staff and a crossbow. Is there anything special about the crossbow? Does it shoot electric darts like Hawkeye?
No, they're just typically
gas darts?
Standard darts.
Bola darts? Punching glove darts?
No, she's not Green Arrow.
They're just regular darts.
Sure, yeah.
Arrows, I should say. I keep saying darts.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this should be an easy fight.
We'll see. I'm curious. I don't know. I don't want to say that Huntress is going to win because I don't know. I don't know why you're so confident Jessica Jones is going to win.
Because she just has to punch her really hard in the face, and then.
Oh, does she have super speed?
No.
Oh, okay, then that's not going to help her because Huntress is a master martial artist.
Okay, well, let's talk about how this fight's gonna go. All right, so whenever we speculate on how one of these 1,000 simulations goes, we always like to say that they start about 50 yards apart in no environment, because we don't take stats for the environment, so the environment never plays a factor within the simulations nor our speculations.
Yeah,
and they know that they need to fight each other. They know that each other are threats, but they don't know anything else about each other. They just know that they need to fight. Right. So, with all those rules out of the way, let's go ahead and see how this would start. How would this fight start?
Well, I'm starting Huntress off with her motorcycle.
What?
Yes.
No.
Why? What? Why?
Because you can't. Why would? Okay, fine. She starts off with a motorcycle.
Okay, so Ghost Rider could have his motorcycle, but Huntress can't have her motorcycle?
Ghost Rider was going up against Etrigan, and Ghost Rider's motorcycle is a key component of his powers, of who he is. Huntress rides it to commute. Most of the time she's up on the rooftops.
No, I wouldn't say ever since Hush, she uses her motorcycle a ton.
She cannot have her motorcycle during this fight.
Why?
Because this is mano y mano.
The motorcycle is not. It's not anything. It's just a motorcycle.
It doesn't have special gadgets or anything.
No. I actually tried to look that up.
Okay,
and as far as I know, I've never seen.
She rides at her with a motorcycle.
Right.
Jessica Jones grabs it, freaking rips it in half, and chucks the pieces at her.
What?
Yeah,
she would get hurt. I think. I'm pretty sure if she crashed into her, which I didn't say she was gonna do.
Yeah, she would get hurt if she crashed into her. But it's not that hard to not get hit by a motorcycle.
Here's the thing, though. Okay, she starts
easy to dodge.
She starts off on her motorcycle. She's not charging her. She's keeping her distance. She's firing bolts at her from her crossbow.
Dude, you don't have a motorcycle in this fight.
All right. Okay, fine then.
That's stupid.
It starts off with her firing bolts at Jessica Jones with her crossbow.
Okay. Well, Jessica Jones is wearing her leather jacket.
Oh my gosh.
And it's really thick.
No.
So Jessica Jones is like, shit, a crossbow? I thought this is supposed to be a fair fight. So she's like trying to dodge, but she's not a great dodger. She's not super fast. So I'm sure she gets pegged once or twice. But her leather
she's an
jacket,
expert marksmanship. She does get pegged.
Yeah.
Whenever she shoots a crossbow.
Okay, cool.
Or a bolt, I mean.
Yeah.
From her crossbow.
But she pulls out one of the arrows and she's like, she's bleeding. It's only a superficial wound because the jacket stopped it from going in too deep.
A leather jacket.
It's a hard. Why do you think motorcyclists wear leather jackets? It's because they add protection. They add a layer of protection.
Not from crossbow bolts. Do you know it's like firing a razor blade as fast as a bullet?
Yeah, and leather saps a lot of that momentum.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Not from a bullet speeding razor blade.
Yeah, it does. So she pulls one of the arrows out of her shoulder,
and she can't do that unless she wants to take out a whole bunch of flesh with it.
Okay, so she breaks off the stick where the arrow went into her shoulder. So she has this stick now. And she was like, keep shooting those arrows at me, and this is going up your pee hole.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So she starts running at her because she knows that the only way... Oh, God, this is hard because a crossbow is just so freaking deadly. And she's a good markswoman.
Yeah.
Maybe they should start off closer than 50 yards.
No.
Otherwise, Jessica... Whatever way this fight goes, Jessica's already going to be really severely hurt by the time she even gets close enough to hurt Huntress.
Right. And when she does get close enough, that's when the bow staff comes out.
Okay, so bow staff. Big deal. Okay, bring out the bow staff.
Okay.
Jessica grabs it when she tries to hit her with it, and she pulls it out of her hands because she's a lot stronger and she can yank it out of her hands.
Does she have super speed?
No, she doesn't.
Then she's not grabbing. What makes you think she's grabbing the bow staff?
Because she has fast enough reflexes to catch a bow staff that's flying toward her.
All right.
She'll grab it. She wrestles it out. She probably throws Huntress away with the bow staff. So now Jessica has the bow staff, and then Huntress probably tries to shoot more arrows at her, but Jessica hurls the bow staff like a javelin. And she throws it and it hits Huntress right in her pee hole.
Oh my gosh! Stop. No.
It's what Jessica would do. So it hits her
she's not.
It hits her like in her abdomen. She's like, ugh.
Okay. Then she picks it back up.
She's like severely bruised in her abdomen now.
All right.
So it's hard. It's harder for her.
I guess it's even since... How did she throw it when she still had the stick in her arm?
With her other arm, obviously.
So she's not going to have like a good like follow through, and she's going to completely miss.
No, because she got shot. She was right-handed. She got shot with the arrow in her left arm, and then she threw the bow staff with her right arm. Maybe I shouldn't have thrown the bow staff away. Oh well, it's too late now. She made the decision.
So
I'm sorry, Jessica.
So Huntress, now she knows that Jessica Jones is super strong, and she's not going to try and get close. So she's going to keep her distance.
All right, let's go move on to the second simulation. Jessica Jones punches Huntress really hard in the head.
From 50 yards away?
And case her skull in.
From 50 yards away?
No, because in this version, Huntress has the motorcycle. She's racing towards her. Jessica boots the motorcycle as it's coming toward her. Huntress flips off of it, crashes, hurts herself. Jessica runs up to her and then punches her in the face really hard, and Huntress loses the fight.
All right, well, let's do this another 998 more times when Huntress is going to win a majority of those.
Man,
she could fly. You didn't even do anything with that.
Oh, yeah, that's a great way to dodge the arrows, isn't it?
Right.
Yes. Well, that's how in the beginning, when I said like she like kind of stumbled toward Huntress, even though she was getting shot at a lot of times, she was able to avoid being mortally wounded with her flight by flying toward her real fast. Now she can fly faster than she can run, so that's probably what she has to resort to to close the distance between her and Huntress. And then at that point, that's when Huntress brings out the bow staff, and then Jessica grabs the bow staff and then throws the bow staff at her.
See, the thing is though, okay, if we're gonna rewind all the way back that far, when she grabs her bow staff,
I'm saying she retroactively flew.
That's when Huntress...
I was just saying she retroactively flew. I wasn't changing what happened. I didn't change the outcome of what was happening. I was just retroactively saying that's how she was able to close the distance, by flying.
Okay, that's fair.
So, but if we are rewinding, then she totally does not let go of the bow staff. This is a tricky fight. But I think
it's like pure skill versus pure unskill, but power.
Yeah. And I would like to see Jessica hold on to the staff and just see what it looks like when she's like, she doesn't know how to use a bow staff that well, mind you. She's not like trained in the use of a bow staff. So she'll probably swing it like a baseball bat kind of thing and just keep on wailing on Huntress.
Or trying to, because Huntress is dodging all this because she's a sucky fighter.
Can Huntress? Yeah, she probably could, huh?
Yeah.
So like Jessica like swings up high and Huntress ducks beneath it. So Jessica swings low and Huntress probably jumps over that, and at that point probably does like a jump kick.
Yeah, a flip kick, front flip kick, which is really hard.
Okay, so Jessica drops the bow staff at that point,
and Huntress picks it up,
and then Huntress comes in close because she underestimates Jessica. And
no, she's not gonna underestimate her. Huntress doesn't do that. She's one of the Bat family members.
One of the Bet family?
Bat, shut up.
Bat?
Shut up. So yeah, again, she's gonna keep her distance and just win all of these matches.
What else can Jessica do? Let's see. What else can Huntress do?
Win all of these matches? It's enough.
I think at some point Huntress will be like, you know what? This crossbow is bullshit. She throws it down.
No.
And then she's like, let's do this mano-y-mano.
No.
And then
they're already mano-y-mano.
And then Jessica was like, I want a polka. And then, I don't know, that was stupid.
What the fuck does that mean?
Because I thought she said, let's tango or something. I don't know. It was like, I'd rather polka. So she gets up, and then like they start doing, going hand to hand against each other. Huntress is blocking a lot of the shots, but then all of a sudden Jessica swings wildly and connects with a haymaker that just sends Huntress flying like she just got hit by a semi.
No, it would be really hard for Jessica to land a blow, almost impossible.
But if she did, game over for Huntress.
Maybe not.
Well, there's only one way to find out who wins.
Yeah.
Through the statistics.
To the machine.
To the statistic machine.
I have no idea what sound that was.
That was the sound of a crossbow.
Yes.
I couldn't think of any good sounds. Or the machine couldn't think of any good sounds.
Wait, what are you talking about?
The computing match.
I feel like I just learned Santa Claus isn't real.
All right, so we ran the 1,000 simulations. We put in their stats. And I don't know if we mentioned this before, but we typically go off of the Marvel official power rankings grid for the stats, and then compile the DC's person stats off of those. And we usually stick to those unless they're just off the walls crazy.
Oh, like Squirrel Girl?
Yeah, something like that.
Where she's like maxed out on everything?
Yeah. And we also add a little bit of a few other stats of our own. But we ran the 1,000 simulations and we came up with an answer for the fight. It was a pretty good match, right? I don't think so. Like
the stats were pretty different. Like everything Jessica Jones was high in, I feel like Huntress was low in, and vice versa. Like Huntress was a much better fighter, but Jessica Jones was much stronger.
And she was faster. We said that she was faster because of her accounting for her flight speed, which would let her do things like close the gap fast that we had mentioned in our speculation. Eventually, we kind of came across the conclusion that they might be kind of similar in terms of durability.
Right, because of the Kevlar.
Yeah, Huntress has a lot of armor on her outfit.
Well, it's armored.
Kevlar armor.
For the parts that are covered. Depending on what costume she's wearing.
Jessica Jones doesn't wear a lot of Kevlar or armor, body armor of any sort, but she does have a natural durability that is comparable to the effects of Kevlar.
And you were touting her leather jacket like it was some kind of like chainmail.
I mean, that provides some protection. It does. Don't knock the leather jackets, man. So, regardless of the outcome, I think this is a pretty interesting fight.
Huntress won,
It was really hard for me to get past that crossbow, though. I did not even think, I was like, oh, it's just a puny crossbow, Jessica Jones could lift 5 tons. But then you're actually, trying to figure out how you can get around it when you're not super fast.
And that showed in the stats because Jessica Jones has like 0 range.
Yeah, she doesn't have any sort of projectile. So, yeah, that kind of sucked. It gave Huntress a huge edge when it came to range. And it played a big part in this fight. So let's see who won, though. Looking at the stats, out of 1,000 simulations, the winner of the Huntress versus Jessica Jones match is... Stop smiling. Why are you smiling?
Well, I just want to hear.
You don't know who's going to win.
I want to hear you say it. Say it.
Huntress won.
Yes.
You want to hear me? You want to bring me down?
Yeah.
Huntress won.
Yes.
844 of the matches against Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones only won 156 of the fights. This was a little one-sided. One of the most one-sided battles that we've ever had, actually.
Surprisingly,
I had no idea how much that crossbow would play a factor in this fight. It was huge.
Don't underestimate the crossbow.
Yeah, again, I didn't really think about that until we started talking about the match, and then I think I knew at that point. I was like, shit, I overestimated my chances of winning here. 844 is a lot. That's, most of our matches are like in the 50, 60 range. If it's, if it gets into the 70s, that's high, and if it gets into the 80s, I think that's only happened one other time.
Yeah. That's a B. That's a B for Huntress, if it's a grading scale from, A to F. So Huntress gets a B, and
that's stupid because then most of these heroes would always get Fs because they usually get in the 50 range.
Yeah, I mean, then that means they didn't win that much.
Anyway, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard come out of your mouth. Almost as dumb as I like DC. Because DC sucks no matter what you say, no matter what happens here.
Yet we are winners.
Whatever.
Look at us win.
Okay. Well, I guess despite me not liking the outcome, you can take these results to the bank.
For sure.
And go ahead and tell all your friends that, Huntress would beat Jessica Jones. But Jessica Jones is still cooler.
I'm still surprised, honestly.
You are?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I was going to be surprised either way, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy. I'm glad. I'm happy.
Whatever. I don't care. All right. That does it for this episode. In our next episode, it's going to be another duel match. And in anticipation for the upcoming animated DC film, Suicide Squad Hell to Pay. That's coming out the second week of April. So the first week of April, we will be doing a duel episode between Harley Quinn and Domino.
Yeah, and it's perfect timing for, like April Fool's Day and the whole kind of like jester kind of thing.
And as we know, Domino is going to be in a movie in a couple of months.
I'm looking forward to that fight, like a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Domino's definitely going to win. Because what can Harley Quinn do at all, if you think about it? Nothing.
She's smarter. I guarantee you.
I doubt that.
I guarantee you.
That. So look forward to the Harley Quinn Domino matchup next episode. And in the meantime, go ahead and check out that Wolverine podcast by signing up at Stitcher.com/premium and using promo code DUEL to get a free month. It's a really good podcast, really well produced.
Yeah.
Lots of cool stuff going on there.
And you can find a link to the Wolverine podcast on Stitcher on our website, dynamicduel.com, where you can find the rest of our episodes.
Yeah, and you could also find a link to our merch site where we sell lots of cool Marvel and DC related stuff of our own design.
And our social media accounts as well.
Yeah, so one-stop shop for all things Dynamic Duel podcast.
Yeah.
So go ahead and check that out. And we'll go ahead and talk to you guys in 1 week. And I did one thing I forgot to say is that we do have a special announcement to announce
for the next episode.
Next episode. Okay. So look forward to that as well. And I'll just leave you with that little cryptic, mysterious
morsel
of come back for the full
teaser
taste
of a teaser.
All right.
Up and away,
true believers.